Round two of the Did Fabian Mayr get robbed at the 2021 Mr. Olympia saga. Let's get straight to it, guys. Do not worry, the picture quality will get better, but I just wanted to include a picture of them actually standing side by side so you guys can gauge how they look actually standing next to each other. And even though they are not hitting this pose properly, we can see that Fabian Mayr, he is significantly taller. At the same time, Mr. Summerfeld, he has a bit better structure in my opinion, but let's get straight to the meat and potato of this video with the mandatory, starting off with the frontal biceps. Fortunately, I could not find a picture of Mayr at the 2021 Mr. Olympia hitting this pose, so I chose the version of him from the 2021 Arnold Classic. Now, right off the bat, we can see again that they both have great arms, which is refreshing to see. A lot of people might say that I have an arm fetish, but in my opinion, arms are very important in building an aesthetic and classical looking physique. But we can see that Fabian Mayr, he has more quality to his muscles in my opinion. They look harder and more separated, but at the same time, Mike has a bit bigger arms and he also has a better structure. His lats flare out a bit further and he looks wider upstairs. In fact, this sort of reminds me of Keon Pearson in some way, but at the same time, he looks a bit soft upstairs, which is kind of odd because he's in good conditioning, as we will see from the back. But overall, it's hard to judge this pose. So I would say that it's roughly equal. So we move on to the side chest. And in my opinion, even though Mr. Mayr looks a bit harder upstairs and he has a bit more muscle separation, downstairs you can even make an argument that Summerfeld has more detail and upstairs he's just bigger and thicker. And all things being equal, bigger is better, so I would say that Summerfeld has a slight edge in the side chest shot. But when we move on to the back shot, this is where I get a bit confused because downstairs, if you look at Summerfeld, we can see that he has strided and peeled glutes, but when we go a bit further down, we see basically no separation in his hamstrings. And when we go to his back, it looks a bit soft for some reason, especially compared to Mayr. And he also has less muscle separation and hardness in his delts and arms. So you guys go figure, guys. I mean, how can this dude have strided and peeled glutes, but at the same time upstairs he is soft looking? I have no idea, guys. But either way, even though Mike Summerfeld is overall bigger, perhaps you could say that he has a better structure, creates a better V-taper. I would still give this pose to Mayr for that reason. He just looks a lot harder in the back itself and he has better muscle separation there. So easily this pose goes to Fabian Mayr. Now this is an ab and thigh that I managed to find of them hitting it side by side, both of them. I will also include another photo, but we can clearly see why Fabian Mayr usually prefers to hit this pose in the vacuum form. I don't know if it's flexing all the way, but either way, it's not an ideal pose for him when he hits it this way. And the same goes for Mike Summerfeld. I do not know why he did not hit the vacuum version. Maybe it did, and maybe they just did not capture a photo of it. But this is what we have. But alternatively, we also have this right here. And just imagine if Summerfeld held his arms on his head, or I guess his hands on his head. I think that he would hit an amazing ab and thigh when it comes to the vacuum version. So in my opinion, even though, again, guys, Fabian Mayr consistently looks harder and grainier throughout this comparison, I would wager to say that if Mike Summerfeld hit this pose in the same way that Mayr does here, I would say that he would get an edge in this pose. And finally, we have the classical pose. And again, Mr. Mike Summerfeld is getting a bit ripped off when it comes to the angle of this shot. Maybe he did it on purpose, but I do not know why he does not hit it straight on, because he has an amazing structure and he sort of hides his main strength here. Now, obviously, as I said throughout this video, Fabian Mayr, at least upstairs, he has better muscle separation. He looks grainier, more strided, but I don't know, it's tough to say in this pose. If you imagine Summerfeld being straight on, hitting this pose, he creates a better V-taper, so it's tough to say. And we can also see that from the final shot, which is not mandatory at all, the front lat spread, in my opinion, it should be mandatory. Again, guys, it's tough to say here because obviously Mike Summerfeld, he has a better structure, he's wider upstairs, and he carves out a better V-taper. But at the same time, you can see Fabian Mayr over there staring him down, probably with his Austrian accent. I believe he is from Austria. Probably thinking, how did that guy beats me? Obviously, I was better. You can see that I have more striations in my chest. You can see that I have more separation in my arms. Now, I apologize to all my Austrian viewers because that was a terrible Austrian accent. But either way, guys, even though Mike Summerfeld has a better structure, the conditioning that Mr. Mayr brought, maybe it's genetics, maybe just Summerfeld has a thicker skin upstairs, but genetics, that is a big part of bodybuilding. So overall, who would I give this comparison to? Well, in my opinion, I would give it to none other than Fabian Mayr. Now I get why the judges would give it to Summerfeld, because he does have some qualities that Mr. Mayr does not have, namely better width, a better V-taper, and perhaps a bit more size, especially upstairs. But overall, guys, when you look at the bigger picture, taking into account conditioning, I just do not see how Mayr could lose to Summerfeld. So again, guys, was Mr. Mayr robbed? I would say that he was, but let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think that Mr. Mayr did deserve to place ahead of Summerfeld as I do, or do you disagree? That's it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you beautiful lads and ladies later.